Imagine there's a group of people that are disproportionately responsible for most of the world's terrorist attacks.
Never forget that what you're rebelling against is a homicidal, genocidal, pedophilic collection of war-profiteering sociopaths.
Every day, stand guard at the door of your mind.
Hello there, how are you going today? I hope everything is going well in your part of the realm, and it is a strange realm we find ourselves in. So let's take another wander.
Look around, thousands of people, all convinced that they're choosing their own path. But the reality is, most of them are NPCs.
What's an NPC?
A non-player character. They're asleep, unconscious, running entirely on programs, habits, routines, beliefs that they never stop to question. You see, the Matrix is not a computer. It's a system of expectations. Work harder, buy more, fit in, chase status, stay distracted. Never ask who wrote the script. Power doesn't always control you with force.
Sometimes it just gives you something comfortable to live inside.
Exactly. And the moment you question the script, you stop being programmed by it. And that is when you realize the real prison was never around you. It was the one you carried in your mind. You coming?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I don't believe we're living in a simulation, and NPCs are, simulated characters. Like you said, the Matrix is in our mind. It's made up of the program, right? The beliefs they give us. And we are the ones who take that program on, or hopefully not us, right? But other people. And that's what an NPC is. Someone who just takes the program and doesn't question it. And they just go round and round in their lives, just doing what they think they have to, and they never question, so they never become aware.
I talk about this thing called the government quite a lot. What this really is the biggest cult known to humankind. It is also known as slavery. It is also known as a mafia or a gang. It is also known as a bully, right? Basically think of every great villain in the world, and that's what government is. The Gnostics even had a word called the Archon, which was the ruler, the evil thing that is the most evil in the universe. Even the word Melkor, which is the grandest evil villain in the Lord of the Rings series, translates directly to king or lord, and J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote that series, was himself an anarchist. But many people fear that word when they don't realize the tie that government is slavery, the biggest cult, and a mafia and a bully. The biggest thing that they don't understand is the psychology behind here. I love to use the word cult for this reason, because it emphasizes the psychology. Now, these other ones do just as well, but cults, I think, nail it more deeply on the head. When you understand that cults prey on innocence, on the vulnerable, and that they use them for greater agendas, that they say all the things that you want to hear. They're really good businessmen. And they convince you that you need them, and that without them, you're basically not free, you're not healthy, you're not safe. And then they fabricate problems, or they use you leaving as an excuse for their own existence. This is all the phenomena of a cult. Governments do it better than anybody else. All it is a mafia or a gang with better PR. It's a gang that is perceived as morally legitimate for committing the same exact actions as a gang. See, if somebody were to be captured by a gang or a mafia, or somebody were to try slavery, someone were to try bullying, they wouldn't get away with it for long because people recognize these things for what they are. But if you put on a certain outfit, a certain uniform, you write it down on a fancy piece of paper, somehow that same action becomes more necessary, more moral. Somehow it changes the nature of the action despite the action being exactly the same. And that's because of how people are perceiving it. So what happens is the bullying grows, the slavery grows, the gang behavior grows, because people are not willing to stop it. They don't know that they should stop it. They believe it is necessary. So they're programmed. It's really good PR. It is mind control. It is brainwashing. My friends, this is government for the 6,000 past years.
Government also means, of course, mind control. And I agree, it is a cult. It's the biggest cult in the world, the cult of culture. And yeah, I agree with everything he said. And, you know, that anarchist, the anarchy, many people think that means living without rules. It doesn't. It means living without rulers, right? So it's a sovereign position. It's saying that no one has the right to rule you. But of course, they love to change, you know, the meanings and tell us that things mean a different thing. That's why the first thing they teach us at school is spelling. Of course, a lot of those look like, you know, grey aliens. Not that I've ever seen a grey or know anyone who has, but what I saw there was elongated skulls, Homo capensis. And, you know, when you look at the skulls of the Homo capensis, they have quite large eye sockets, which is very interesting. Is this really what's been going on here? Is this just a cover up, the whole grey story, to cover up this other species that's down here? Because when you look back into history in South America, they definitely talk about these beings as being the rulers or the gods. And then if you look back to Egypt, even through the royals in Europe and that, there's a lot of cone heads in there. Yeah, rather large eyes, right? And it's true that they are not us. These skulls, they are not humans, right? They are not Homo sapien, the Homo capensis. Like it said in there, the Homo capensis only has two parts to its skull. We have three different plates, right, through the sagittal sutures, because our head needs to compress while we are being born through the birth canal. And that their heads are obviously larger. Yes, there is skull binding, but that is not a cone head, because when you measure the inside volume of the skull, the skull binding, they're the same as any normal human, right? But the Homo capensis are much, much larger. And, you know, look at the Rothschilds, right? Some of the Rothschilds, some other people around, they seem to have rather large noggins. So, you know, again, are these the fallen ones, the fallen angels, Anunnaki, all this kind of stuff? Are they still here ruling us? Because, I mean, you know, many of us, including myself, have asked this question, you know, and I've always said that this ruling class, this elite class, they're not us.
They always give us just a little bit of truth, but then they sprinkle it in with lies. An example of this is now a lot of people are hip to the fact that the Anunnaki were real, but they sprinkle it in with this myth that they came from planet Nibiru, or another planet or whatever. That's not entirely true. The actual truth is they just came from another realm. Realm 3 to be exact, the ancient Egyptian or Atlantis realm. They are real beings and they really exist, but they do not come from some faraway planet. They come from here and now in a different time and frequency, otherwise known as another realm. Same way the extraterrestrials do. They come here from another realm. All time and space is an illusion. Everything is here and now.
Yes, well, I have thought about this concept a lot. I kind of believe that everything's here in the same space, but on different frequencies. And of course, we as humans in this realm, we can only see from infrared to ultraviolet, and we know that other animals have a much broader frequency range of seeing. Cats and dogs often will chase things that we can't see, will bark at things, right? They'll watch things that we can't see, that are out of our vision. Is that because they're seeing slightly into different realms? Is this what ghosts are, right? When we're in fear and our vibration is lower, do we peek in to the lower vibration, right? Or it can sort of bleed through. And so we see things that we call ghosts. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because, whatever this beings, whoever the beings are, whatever the consciousness is that's basically taken over this realm, where did they come from? Are they from a terrestrial place, from outer lands maybe? Or are they from a different dimension where they've somehow changed their frequency to enter ours? Because, we've got all these quantum computers, right, where they say they're reaching into a different dimension and getting stuff and bringing it back. We've got CERN, which is talking about portals and things, opening them up, AI, all this stuff. What is it really telling us? I'd love to know your thoughts, so please leave me a comment.
Друзья, вы думаете, так легко зайти в 7-й мир? Антарктида уже давно позади, мы входим в 7-й мир, и они сразу начинают на воротах ставить завесу.
So this gentleman is a Russian boat captain, and he claims he's sailing to the 7th world. But as he approaches land beyond a force field of some sort, a magnetic, electrical anomaly, it becomes some sort of barrier between him and the land, as if he can't get to the outer worlds. There's an invisible wall blocking it off, and he claims it's within the fog. It's very intriguing. Read the captions and let me know what you guys think.
Электрозавесу. Первый корабль, который шел впереди нас, все, уже стал в электрополе. И там все стали прозрачными. Все, там тишина. А мы подходим, смотрите внимательно. Смотрите внимательно. Там встал, все. Он дальше уже не сможет пойти. И не сможет сдвинуться с места. Там уже все стали прозрачными. Смотрите, что происходит. Смотрите. Смотрите, это преграда на пути. И это сделали они. Вот здесь преграды нету, видите? Вот. А здесь они уже поставили. А здесь они уже поставили на воротах преграду, облачную завесу, это электрополе. Корабль первый пошел, и все, и встал, и все. Там все стали прозрачными, это по-любому. И телепортировались в 7-е измерение. Такая история.
Well, I cannot confirm that translation. I don't speak Russian. And so really, I don't know where he was, but, let's say that he was out at Antarctica or past. He said he was going to the 7th world. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know where the first 6 are, but there definitely seemed to be a barrier there, right? And it looked like there was a ship in that barrier. What is that? The guy said, is it some kind of electromagnetic force field? Is it perhaps the edge of the firmament? right? That's keeping us in our realm, if you want. I mean, I don't know, but that was pretty interesting footage. Let me know what you think was going on there.
There are 3 structures on Earth that should not exist, and each one leaves behind a question we still can't answer. In Turkey, the ancient walls of Hattusa were built more than 3,000 years ago using enormous stone blocks fitted together without mortar, so tightly that parts of the walls have survived centuries of earthquakes. In Peru, Machu Picchu was built high in the mountains using massive stone blocks, fitted so precisely that even a sheet of paper cannot pass between many of them. And in China, the Yangshan Quarry contains 3 enormous stone sections abandoned more than 600 years ago, together weighing thousands of tons, intended to become a single monument taller than the Statue of Liberty. And then they stopped. So what did they know that we don't?
Yeah, the megaliths, right? And we have these stone walls everywhere. We also have the Trilithon at Baalbek. There's also the unfinished obelisk in Egypt. And these things are massive. Of course, Easter Island as well, right? How do you think they did this? I mean, clearly, I think it's all to do with frequency. And, their technology was different to ours. But, I don't know. It's a bit of an edge. Do you think that's what was going on? A lot of people think it was giants building these things. I don't know. What do you reckon? How did they construct all these megalithic structures that we find all over the realm?
Take a look at this. It is freaking crazy. This is called a chatya. It's a chanting hole. Its whole purpose is for chanting. It is like nothing I've ever seen. Listen to the acoustics in here. So the Buddhist monks, they would come in here and they would meditate or chant. They would perform meditation in here, walking around the stupa, and chants like Om, Om. Can you hear that? It reverberates for like 15 or 20 seconds. My voice continues vibrating through this structure. It is insane. And now they've done archaeoacoustic studies at caves similar to this one with the same style chanting room. And they found that the frequency of 110 hertz is the peak reverberation time, meaning that that frequency stays the longest. It continues to echo. That's what that means. Now, what does 110 hertz do? Well, there's been a lot of recent studies that show that if you are subjected to a frequency between 90 and 130 hertz, it actually shifts off the left side of the brain and moves brain activity to the right side. Right side of the brain is for meditation, deeper thinking, emotional processing. That is what the ancients would call meditation. So whether that is just an unbelievable coincidence that you have a chanting room that is basically tuned to 110 hertz, or that is perfect planning, I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, pretty obvious to me. And the front of that cave, that structure, looked like a big speaker, didn't it? So interesting. And again, I believe the old world's technology was based on frequency and energy, right? And so that makes perfect sense that they were getting the human voice in there and they were chanting frequencies and it was being projected out. So again, what for? Was this another healing kind of a building, or, something to put people in a better state of mind, like the cathedrals we see? Because, it was definitely built using technology that we don't understand.
The Renaissance was a reset. America was the most advanced in the Middle Ages. Notice the whited out skies in this construction photo, and this is the 1920s. But overexposure was solved by at least 1857. The white skies make photo editing possible. You can see people's upper bodies are cropped out here, and you can see their legs still. More obvious here. Entire buildings can be cropped out. You can see the seam here. Or parts of buildings can be removed, like whatever was on top of this building. This is the Singer Building, which was once the tallest building in the world. The demolition photos look like construction photos. How many construction photos are actually demolition photos? And things can be drawn in through etching, like this. This scaffolding is drawn in. We've all seen photos like these. These are Photoshopped. Look at his foot. Nobody balances with the top of their foot. And even if he was on his knee there, he would still have the ball of his foot on the beam. History is Photoshopped. And who wears shoes like these Samuel Adams shoes? Come on, most of these people aren't even paying attention to the spectacle. They always claim these World's Fair buildings are temporary, but this is Memorial Hall in Philadelphia. It still stands to this day, and it's made out of granite. Incredible interior. Same thing with Detroit. Supposed to be a permanent structure. I mean, the Eiffel Tower is from a World's Fair. Same thing with these buildings in Chicago. Permanent structures. Nashville, fireproof permanent structures. Permanent buildings in San Francisco's fair. New Orleans World Fair, permanent buildings. This is Buffalo. This is a temporary structure for an event that is supposedly much more important. Garbage, but we're supposed to be more advanced, but our fairs aren't more advanced. This isn't from a World's Fair, but this is Chicago. This is Philadelphia. They just call these buildings churches. They call this a church in Louisville. This is supposed to be a hotel in New Orleans, 1835? And this is a hotel? They call this a hospital. This is a castle. The old Evansville, Indiana County Courthouse. It's pretty impressive. And this is their new county courthouse. How is this progress? Even Cleveland. And you never get construction photos of the inside of the buildings either. Again, Cleveland. Why would a Cleveland market need this tower? It was probably a mooring station, like this. This is Otis Castle, Florida. Supposedly built by 2 people in 4 years. No help, no drawings, no models. But hey, this is St. Augustine Star Fort. The architect died right after he drew up the blueprints for it. And this is the blueprint. One perspective. And Greco-Roman doorways were a must, apparently. Detroit, the Renaissance city. Biggest Masonic temple on earth. Wisconsin state capital. Pretty provocative. But not as provocative as this Civil War statue in Iowa. Seems out of place. And it's the whole America, north and south. A lot in Venezuela. I mean, there's castles everywhere. Mid-level towns, middle of nowhere. So many hidden gems in the small towns of flyover country. These buildings are repurposed. It just says restaurant. Doesn't even have a name. This is like Westworld. America was already developed. It was salvaged and some damaged buildings got restored and buildings got repurposed. This is a castle, not an armory. Guardian building Detroit. Who are they depicting? The world is a motherboard grid. The buildings were all part of one machine. America is the head or CPU of that machine.
I don't know about America being the main CPU or head of the machine, because these buildings are everywhere. They're all across the realm. It's definitely not just America. They're everywhere. In Australia, I just, a couple of weeks ago, drove from Melbourne up to Queensland, and we went the back way through all these tiny little towns of 1,000 people, and the buildings are all through there. It's realm wide. But yeah, I agree that I think it was a macro energy system, right, based on Earth energies, and that has been taken away from us, dismantled, so it doesn't work, and we've been given the microchip, right, the micro circuit. And, Vanilla Skies, if you haven't looked into that, there's so many, mistakes that they've made, right? Basically, that you can see it's all been photoshopped. Like, our history is literally photoshopped. His story is not our story.
Imagine there's a group of people that are disproportionately responsible for most of the world's terrorist attacks, legitimately believe that half the world's population ain't shit, and aren't equal to or deserve the same rights as the other half of the population, the whole fucking world BT dubs. And they follow a different set of laws that are barbaric AF and extremely violent. Now imagine you've got a bit of a concern about that particular group of people, and you voice that, and you're fucking you've got a phobia of it? Well, dude, that's not irrational. The definition of phobia is an irrational fear. That is not an irrational fear. It is completely fucking sensible, necessary for survival. Okay? They're trying to fucking destroy us. Yet you can't talk about it. And the way that the media frames this shit, it's like they don't want you to. just cruising around acting like this isn't a fucking regular thing. Like, recognize the pattern, you fucking lunatics. What are you talking about? It's not fucking Islamophobic to say that radical Islam is coming in quick sticks, okay? Voldemort's back, y'all. He's back fucking coming in hot, okay? And you've got to start talking about it. You've got to fucking realize it, okay? Look around. Look at what the fuck's happening. The West is being taken the fuck over, okay? And your, like, extreme intolerance to hearing about it or just perpetual censorship is wild and fucking maddening to me. I don't understand. I don't understand what the fuck is happening. It seems coordinated. It fucking has to be. Look at the UK. Look at Europe, particularly fucking Sweden. Look at Canada. Look at Australia. It's fucking happening, okay? Wake your sleepy asses up, okay? For fuck's sake, man. These extreme events are happening more and more regularly, yet there seems to be no fucking sensible reaction to it. Look around you. You've all got the fucking survival instincts of a bloody toothpick. For fuck's sake, like, oh, sort your shit out, world. It's getting fucking weird up in here. Okay, see ya.
Yes, sorry, a few F-bombs in that one. I wonder who the group of people is that she's talking about. Do you know? But yeah, I mean, it's just so blatant these days, right? Like at the moment, right? Half of America's burning, the other half is underwater. We've been having earthquakes, fires all through Europe. It's crazy as they introduce, you know, the AI and the data centers, right? And suddenly climate change doesn't matter anymore, right? They can use as much energy and water as they want, right? You know, it's definitely an attack on us, and they tell us, right? Billy Goat, Mr. Gates, who has told us that he wants to reduce the world's populations, and he's going to do it using jelly-wabbies. I mean, they tell us all this stuff, and I guess this goes back to the NPC. Why can't some people see it? Because they believe the program. They believe what's on the TV, right? And they just can't break out of that, because the biggest thing is for people to realize, you know, that everything is not as they thought. They have to believe that they were wrong, and most people can't do that. They can't believe, or you know, get it into their mind, you know, think about that maybe they were tricked, right, for their whole lives, and they believe something that's not even true. I think that's why most people, you know, stay unaware. But yeah, good little clip. Let me know, who are those people she was talking about?
The greatest psyop ever imposed upon mankind. Oh, there have been a lot, but the greatest one that we've ever believed and participated in is that we were to work for 60 years of our lives, sacrifice our days, our youth, moments with our children, our marriages, all for the concept of money, to make enough to survive. Oh, that is the greatest psyop ever, until now. It ends now. This is not a content channel. This is a reminder of who you are, what you're capable of, and what this world should look like. Share this, spread it around, because it is time to rise.
It is most definitely time to rise, and people are starting to rise, which I'm very happy to see. The whole flock camera thing going off in America, waiting for Halloween. You know, if you haven't seen that, just Google flock cameras and you'll find the stories. But it's good. I think, you know, people are still becoming more aware. You know, some people think that, you know, at this point, if you haven't, you know, woken up or become aware of what's going on, that you can't, and there's no choice. But I don't believe in that. I think it is every day more people are becoming aware, because it's just getting so crazy now. It's hard not to. You know, now that people are struggling just to pay the bills and survive, they're going to start asking questions. So I think we're getting, you know, we're on our way. We're getting closer to walking away from these elites who just want to control us.
Never forget that what you're rebelling against is a homicidal, genocidal, pedophilic collection of war-profiteering sociopaths who have hijacked society's power structures from within and are weaponizing them against all life on Earth for personal gain. So, you know, respond accordingly. You get what I mean? Like, this is not just a problem of like, oh no, the wages are too low, or the prices are too high, or the tax system is inappropriately balanced.
Yes, it's definitely time to rise. And, you know, with this whole how do we create change, I don't believe that the way to create, you know, the world that we all want is to focus on bringing down the elites, because where attention goes, energy flows. So if we're focusing on the problem, we're really giving it energy. I think that what we need to do is to decide where we want to go, what kind of a person we want to be, what kind of a life we want to live, and put our focus into that. Because in the end, we are the creators of our reality.
Every day, stand guard at the door of your mind. How important. What would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results.
Stand guard every day at the door to your mind. That was Jim Rohn, one of my favorite philosophers on human potential. Check him out. And yeah, I agree. We can't just let everyone into our minds, including the government, right? And all this stuff on the internet, and, you know, the fear porn, as they call it, and the scrolling and all this. You know, if we let everything just straight into our mind, then we're letting other people control us, right? They're living rent free in our minds, as they say. So we have to be the ones who build barriers, right, in our mind, and only let certain things in. Of course, with your family and your best friends and people you trust, then yes, what they say, obviously you're going to let in. But with people you don't know or don't know very well, you know, you can't just let that stuff in. Some people are mean. Some people are confused. Some people, you know, have been brought up to put people down. And if we let all these thoughts into our minds, they start shaping who we become. So again, stand guard every day at the door to your mind. And there you go, guys. That's it for this video. And I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who supports me and this channel. I do appreciate you. All the comments, all the likes, the shares, the hyping up. It is very appreciated. And of course, if you do want to support this channel, you'll find links below. But yeah, just a big thank you to everyone. I do really appreciate you all. And thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, please do give me a like, share it around, all that good stuff. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. And most importantly, stay awesome, because you are. And I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Harlow, no. Oh, Harlow. Oh my god.
Zoom, 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 zoom. I'm zooming in my room. My zoom is off forever. My zoom is all together. Zoom, 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 zoom. I'm zoom.
This is K9 Unit Shadow 1 reporting for a scheduled perimeter sweep of Sector Backyard. All fence lines...
Zoom, 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 zoom. I'm zooming in my room. My zoom is off forever. My zoom is all together. Zoom, 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 zoom.
Come on, what do we do? What do we do before we go inside? Go ahead, wipe your feet. Good girl.
One, 2, 3, go!
What?
We did it.
Going from side to side.
What?
It's going to side to
The
side.
dog!